The hustle behind Simu Liu's rise from accountant to Marvel star. Here's a wild fact for you. Before Simu Liu became Marvel's first Asian lead superhero in Shang-Chi, he was an accountant. Yep. A suit and tie 9-to-5 spreadsheet-slinging accountant. No superpowers, no stunts, just tax codes and long office hours. So how does someone go from crunching numbers in a cubicle to flying through the air in a billion-dollar franchise? This isn't just a glow-up story. It's a masterclass in hustle, risk, rejection, and resilience. And today, we're breaking down the real story behind Simu Liu's insane rise to fame. The auditions, the failures, the tweets, and the one moment that changed everything. If you think your dreams are too big, or that it's too late to start over, this story will make you think again. From laid off to launching a dream. Simu Liu didn't grow up in Hollywood. He was born in Harbin, China, and immigrated to Canada when he was 5. Like a lot of first-generation kids, he was raised with one mission: succeed the safe way. That meant good grades, good job, no surprises. So he followed the script: business school, accounting job at Deloitte, a dream job, on paper. But behind the scenes, Simu hated it. He's described it as soul-crushing, mind-numbing, the exact opposite of who he wanted to be. Then, plot twist, he gets laid off. Now, most people panic, but Simu? He saw an opening. He didn't just say, "Now what?" He said, "Now me." That one layoff pushed him to chase the creative life he secretly wanted. Acting, modeling, stunt work, anything in front of a camera. The risk? Massive. The industry? Brutal. The pay? Basically non-existent. But he hustled anyway. And that's the first lesson in Simu's story. Sometimes your breakdown is your breakthrough. The extra life and acting on a budget. Let's get one thing clear. Simu Liu didn't become famous overnight. His early acting days were a grind. He started as a stunt double, often unpaid, throwing himself into fight scenes for indie shoots and student films just to build a reel. He worked background gigs on shows like Nikita and Pacific Rim. Yes, he was that guy walking in the back of the scene, pretending to sip coffee while the leads did their thing. And he soaked up every minute. But here's where things get real. While chasing his dream, Simu was broke, like struggling to pay rent broke. He lived in tiny apartments, drove a car that barely ran, and took side jobs just to eat. He even worked as a stock photo model, which, by the way, still haunt the internet. Type in "confused Asian man," and you'll probably see Simu's face holding a calculator. Funny? Yes. Humbling? Definitely. But what stands out is that he owned it. No ego, no shame, just hustle. If you're dreaming big and starting small, take notes. Every background role, every rejection, every awkward photo shoot. It was all part of the climb. Breaking through with Kim's Convenience. Simu's first big break came with the Canadian sitcom Kim's Convenience. He landed the role of Jung, a charming, rebellious son who clashes with his traditional immigrant parents. The show was funny, heartfelt, and unexpectedly real, and it gave Simu a platform to actually act instead of standing silently in the background. But behind the scenes, he wasn't satisfied. Simu wanted more. He was outspoken about the need for Asian representation, better scripts, more dynamic characters, and he wasn't afraid to speak up publicly. That led to tension, especially as he started growing his personal brand online. Eventually, Simu and the Kim's Convenience creators parted ways. Not with drama, but with disappointment. But here's the kicker. That role gave him enough visibility to aim higher. And he did. Because while everyone else was watching Avengers: Endgame, Simu was tweeting something wild. The tweet that shook Marvel. "Okay, Marvel, are we gonna talk or what?" Shang-Chi. Simu Liu, July 2018. A tweet. That's all it was. No audition, no offer. Just a bold, public, slightly risky nudge at the biggest studio on Earth. And guess what? It worked. Months later, he was in a secret audition, then a chemistry test, then the call. He had booked Shang-Chi, Marvel's first Asian superhero lead, a role that would change his life, and arguably Hollywood, forever. Simu has said it was one of the most surreal moments of his life. One day he was just that guy from the stock photos. The next, he was getting fitted for a superhero suit. Here's the takeaway. Fortune favors the loud, not just the bold. He didn't wait for permission. He asked for the shot. And when it came, he was ready. Becoming a Marvel hero and holding the weight. Starring in Shang-Chi wasn't just a job. It was pressure. Cultural pressure. Industry pressure. Physical pressure. Simu trained for months in martial arts, fight choreography, and strength conditioning. He poured everything into the role because he knew this wasn't just a Marvel movie. It was a moment for representation, for kids who had never seen a superhero that looked like them, for actors who had been boxed into stereotypes for decades. And he didn't take that lightly. He became a voice, not just for the Asian community, but for every underdog out there trying to break into a space where the odds are stacked. That said, he's still Simu, still tweets memes, still jokes about being awkward on red carpets, still admits to imposter syndrome, but that makes him more relatable, not less, becoming his own publicist and brand builder. Here's something most people overlook. Simu Liu didn't just wait for the world to notice him. He marketed himself like a brand. Long before Marvel came calling, Simu was building his online presence like a startup. He tweeted openly about his journey, shared behind-the-scenes looks at auditions, celebrated the small wins, and wasn't afraid to be transparent about the grind. Most rising actors hide their struggles, afraid it'll make them look weak. Simu did the opposite. He posted about being rejected, not getting callbacks, and even offered to do speaking gigs for free just to get his foot in the door. He turned vulnerability into visibility. And that strategy? It worked. His authenticity helped him grow a loyal fan base before he was famous. Fans who rallied behind him when Marvel was casting and who showed up on day one of Shang-Chi's release. Here's the key takeaway. If you're building a dream, you also need to build trust. People support what they feel part of. Simu let people into the journey, not just the highlight reel. That's not just smart, that's powerful. From superhero to super author, owning his story. Think the Marvel role was the peak? Think again. In 2022, Simu Liu published his memoir, We Were Dreamers. And it wasn't just a celebrity cash-in, it was real. Vulnerable, funny, raw, and deeply personal. The book digs into his complicated relationship with his parents, the cultural expectations he grew up with, and the emotional toll of chasing a dream when no one believes in you. He talks about mental health, about identity, about being torn between cultures, and he does it with zero filters. Some fans were shocked by how honest it was. Others said it was the first time they felt seen. And that's exactly why it mattered. Because Simu didn't just stop at fame. He used his platform to help other people process their stories too. What does that tell us? You don't just make it once. You keep making it by using your voice, owning your truth, and opening the door wider for the next person behind you. If this story inspired you, go ahead and hit that like button. It tells the algorithm this is a story worth sharing. And if you want more deep dives into the real grind behind today's biggest stars, make sure you subscribe and ring that bell. Drop a comment and tell me, what's your Shang-Chi moment? That dream that feels just out of reach. Until next time, stay bold, stay curious, and never stop hustling.